Lesson 8 is on finding perimeter and area, specifically of rectangular shapes. So in the packet, or in the book, it says that for perimeter of a rectangle, you can take 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And then for area, you can take the length times the width. And that is for a rectangular shape where we have the length and the width. So in the first problem, it says Joel will fence a rectangular yard. So we can draw a little diagram. Here's his rectangular yard, measuring 20 yards by 15 yards. How many yards of fencing will he need? So that's asking around the entire outside, what's that distance? So that's asking the perimeter. So we add up the two lengths, 2 times 20, and then 2 times 15, the widths. Well, 2 times 20 is 40, and 2 times 15 is 30, and 40 and 30 is 70 yards of fencing he'll need. Then the second part of the question says, what will be the area of the fenced yard? So the area we're going to find by multiplying 20 and 15. So area equals 20 times 15. Well, 2 times 15 would be 30, and then we put the extra 0 at the end. So 300 yards squared. For perimeter, the units of perimeter will always be whatever units you have in your problem. So we have yards in this case. For area, the units will always be the units that they give you squared. So if it was feet, it would be feet squared. If it was millimeters, it would be millimeters squared. In problem number 2, Joel is now fencing a larger yard with dimensions that are 4 times the size of the yard in problem number 1. So 4 times 20 is 80 yards, and then 4 times 15 is 60 yards. So now we have a yard that's 80 yards by 60 yards. So now we're going to find its perimeter and area. So to find its perimeter, we're going to take 2 times 80, and then 2 times 60. 2 times 80 is 160, and 2 times 60 is 120. 120 plus 160 is 280 yards for the perimeter. And then we also want to know the area, where we take the length times the width. So 80 times 60. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. And then we have 2 zeros. And the units are yards squared. In problem number 3 now, it's asking us to compare the perimeter and the areas of the yards in number 1 and number 2. So going from number 1 to number 2, our perimeter was 70 in the first problem and 280 in the second one. So the perimeter of the second one is 4 times the perimeter of the first one. 70 times 4 would give us 280. The perimeter in problem 2 is 4 times the perimeter in problem 1, which makes sense because all the dimensions were quadrupled. They were times 4. What isn't so intuitive is the area. So if we look at the area, 4,800 versus 300. So how many times does 300 go into 4,800? Well, then what I might do is just take off the zeros, since there's 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here. So how many times does 3 go into 48? Well, 3 goes into 36 12 times, and then I still have, let's see, 12 more, so 16. So 3 times is 3, 1, 18, 16. So the area is actually 16 times. Let me try that again. So the area of 2 is 16 times area 1. And that might not make sense at first, but if you look at how area is calculated, area equals length times width. Well, if you look at here, we have 4 here and 4 here. 4 times 4 would give us 16, and then we still have our original numbers of 20 and 15. Well, in 2015 was 300. So we have 16 times our original 300. Placing tiles, 30 tiles side by side, Patricia can make a 30 by 1 rectangle. So this is what that would look like. 130. Name 3 other rectangles Patricia can make with 30 tiles. So they're asking you, what would be the dimensions if you have an area of 30? One way is 1 by 30. Another way would be 2 by 15. Another way would be, let's see, 3 by 10. And then another way would be 5 by 6. And each of those, when I take 1 times 30, I get 30. When I take 2 times 15, I get 30. When I take 3 times 10, I get 30. And when I take 5 times 6, I also get 30. So we can have 2 by 15, 3 by 10, and 5 by 6. Each volume contains 12 chapters. If there are 5 volumes, how many chapters are in all? This is an equal groups problem, so we have the number of groups, 5 volumes, times the number in each group, 12 chapters, equals the total. 5 times 12 is 60 chapters. The net weight of a bag of almonds is 2 pounds, 8 ounces. How many ounces of almonds are there? So we need to convert this 2 pounds into ounces. And from Unit 6, we learned that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. It's tough to see. I'll make that kind of one. All right? So we can either have 16 ounces over 1 pound, or 1 pound over 16 ounces, depending on how our fraction starts. And our fraction in this case, we're going to take the information they gave us, 2 pounds, and put it over 1. And then, in my second fraction, I know that pounds is going to have to go on the bottom to cancel out the pounds on the top. So that says I'm going to use this fraction. Is 1 pound Anything on the top I multiply by, so the 2 and the 16 are being multiplied. That gives me 32 ounces for the 2 pounds. On top of that, I have 8 ounces as well. So there are 40 ounces total in the bag. A video game was discounted and now costs 2/3 of its original price. If it originally cost $45, how much does it cost now? So this is using fractional parts, and 2/3 of 45 means 2/3 times 45. When I multiply by a fraction, I multiply by the numerator. So 45 times 2, and then divide by the denominator. 45 times 2 is 90, divided by 3 is 30. So it now costs $30. Mahesh rides a bus to work. The number of minutes his daily bus ride took over a 2-week period are recorded below. Find the mean, median, mode, and range of the data. Well, to find the mean, we're going to add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers there are. So we would take, and we would do, let's see, oops. $12 plus 8 plus 10 plus 9 plus 12 plus 8 plus 7 plus 12 plus 9 plus 10, and that equals 12 plus 8 is 20, plus 10 is 30, plus 9 is 39, plus 12 is 51, plus 8 is 59, plus 7 is 66, plus 12 is 78, plus 9 is 87, plus 10 is 97, and then we take 97. Remember, you always have to hit enter or equals before you do the division. 97 then divided by 10 days he rode the bus equals 9.7. So the mean is 9.7 minutes. The median, we put all the numbers in order from smallest to biggest and find the middle number. So we have 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, and then 12, 12, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know I have 10 numbers. The other way is to go back through and actually cross out the ones that you've used to make sure that you didn't miss a number. So now I take one off each end at a time. So the 7 and the 12 go away, the 8 and the 12 go away, the 8 and another 12 go away, the 9 and the 10 go away, until I either have 1 in the middle or 2 in the middle. In this case, I'll have 2 since there's an even number of numbers. And then I find the mean of that number. So I would do 9 plus 10, which is 19. And then I'd take 19 divided by 2, and that would give me 9.5. So the median is 9.5 minutes. The mode is the number that occurs the most. So I have the more 12s than anything. And then the range is the biggest number, which is 12, minus the smallest number, which is 7. So the range is 5. Then it says, which measure would Mahesh use to describe how many minutes the duration of his bus ride may differ from day to day? Well, if we're talking about how different they are, I would certainly be thinking of the range. and it's different by 5 minutes. The least he's ever waited is 7. The most he's ever waited is 12. The auditorium has 12 rows of seats. How many seats are there in all? This is in equal groups. So the number of groups is the number of rows, 12, times the number in each row, 24. That equals the total, which is 288. 12 times 20 would be 240. 12 times 4 more would be 48, and 240 plus 48 is 288 seats. What is the quotient? Quotient means division. When the sum means addition is divided by the difference means subtraction. So I have 15 plus 12. That divided by the difference, 15 minus 12. By order of operations, I do what's in the parentheses first. 15 plus 12 is 27. And then 15 minus 12 is 3. And then I can do the division. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So the quotient is the answer when you do division. The quotient is 9. A mile-high city is how many feet above sea level? Well, in lesson 6, the conversion chart said that there were 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Tina drove 168 miles in 3 hours. What was her average rate in miles per hour? When they say miles per hour, what that means is miles divided by hours. And that's our clue that we're going to take the number that they give us for miles and divide it by the number that they give us for hours. And 168 divided by 3. 3 goes into 16 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 16 minus 15 is 1. 3 goes into 18 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. That gives me 0. Oops. And then so 168 divided by 3 is 56. And then miles per hour. Write a word problem for this equation. So 5 miles times 4 equals the distance, or the difference. So let's think about this. Maybe you rode your bike 4 miles every day for 4 days. How far did you ride in all? So we could say Jerry rode his bike 5 miles each day for 4 days. How many miles did he ride total? And again, try to make up your own word problem. There's many different problems that could be written based on this information. Write a word problem for this equation. 12 inches minus x equals 7 inches. So maybe you had a length of rope. So let's see. Maritza had a string and a 12-inch string, let's say. used some to make a bracelet, and there was 7 inches left. How much did she use for her bracelet? Arrange these numbers from least to greatest. Well, I find the most negative, which is -2. Then the next most negative is 1. Then I have 3 different fractions. So if I look at those, 2/6 I know is less than a half because 3/6 would be a half. And I know that 5/7 is more than a half because 3 1/2 would be half of 7. So 2/6 would come first, and then 1/2, and then 5/7, which is more than a half, and then 1. If I'm going to compare -100 and 10, since 10 is positive, it's always going to be greater than that negative number. Comparing -3 and -4, -4 is more negative than -3, so it's less than -3. But comparing the absolute values of -3 and -4, -3 is 3 places away from 0, and -4 is 4 places away from 0. So the absolute value of -4 is greater than the absolute value of -3. Use the numbers 5 and 7 to provide an example of the commutative property of addition, which says that the order that we add numbers in does not matter. So I could do 5 plus 7 or 7 plus 5. And then graph the numbers in this sequence. -7, -3, 1, 5, 9. So if I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5. So -7 would be here, and then -3 would be here. 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is the absolute value of 15? That's asking the question, how far away from 0 is 15? Well, it's 15 places away from 0. And then if 3 plus 4 equals 7, what other addition fact and what 2 subtraction facts are true for 3, 4, and 7? Well, we can switch the order of the 3 and the 4, and that still is 7. And then we also know that 7 minus 3 would be 4, and 7 minus 4 would be 3. What is the opposite of 3? The opposite of 3 means the opposite sign on 3. So it's +3 now, which means -3 is the opposite. What 2 numbers are 5 units from 0? Well, we can go 5 units in the positive direction, which would give us 5, or 5 units in the negative direction, which would give us -5. In 25 through 27, state whether the sentence is true or false and explain why. If the answer is false, provide a counterexample. So every negative number is an integer. That's false. It's true that there are integers that are negative numbers, but integers are only whole numbers. They don't include decimals or fractions. So -2.5 is negative, but it's not an integer. Every natural number is an integer. natural numbers are counting numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's true. Integers include natural numbers. The sum of two whole numbers is a whole number. That is also true. If you take positive numbers, which are what whole numbers are, so integers means that they're whole, they're not fractions or decimals. If you add positive integers, the sum is also a positive integer. The result is. Find two solutions to this equation. The absolute value of x is 15. So two numbers whose distance from 0 are 15 is negative 15 and positive 15. Find the product of 37 and 68. Well, if I take 37 times 68, 7 times 8 is 56. I put the 5 up top. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 5 is 29. Put my 0 since I'm in the 10 spot now. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 4 is 22. And if I add those together, I get 6, 11, 5, and 2. So 2,516. 3 out of every 4 restaurant patrons did not order the special. So if I draw the pie graph, 3 out of 4 did not order the special. What fraction did order? Well, that one that's the opposite, 1/4, ordered the special. All right, and then the last one, the Tour de France is a well-known cycling competition which cyclists from around the world are chosen to participate. The tour's length varies from year to year, but is usually between 3,000 and 4,000 kilometers in length. If 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers, approximately how long is the Tour de France in miles? Well, they're asking us to convert both of those into miles. So if I have 3,000 kilometers over 1, then kilometers needs to go on the bottom of the next fraction. And there's 1.6 kilometers per 1 mile. Kilometers cancels out, and this would be 3,000 divided by 1.6, which is 1,875 miles. Then we have to do the 4,000 miles one to figure out the range. So we set that one up just the same. Miles on top, kilometers on the bottom to cancel. And that turns into 4,000 divided by 1.6, which is 2,500 miles. So the distance is between 1,875 miles and 2,500 miles.